Welcome to the Soul Revival Podcast, where we have deep and meaningful conversations exploring modalities, tools, and healing, guiding you back to your most expansive soul self. Welcome back to another episode of the Soul Revival Podcast. I am so excited to have on today's guest, Sage Lewis, who I had the pleasure of meeting through a mutual connection. And Autumn and I are looking forward to hearing all about your magic, Sage. Welcome to the Soul Revival Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to hearing about my magic too, and looking forward to hearing what magic comes out of you too. I
Yeah,
love
always
magic.
spirit always gets to lead, right?
That's right.
Before we get started, do you mind just introducing yourself to our audience? Just give a little bit about your background and your offerings.
Sure. That's a big question.
It is a big
That's like
question,
a really
especially
big.
having been on your website. It's a big question.
I think the older we get, the bigger that question becomes. So a little about myself. I came from the stars. I'm going to start there because I think I can on this podcast. I came from the stars, and from the stars, I ended up in the Midwest. I was born in the Midwest. And at some point, decades into my time in the Midwest, I started to work with animals in a variety of different ways. So Tellington Tea Touch was my entry point, working with companion animals and people with the Tea Touch work. Through that work, I started to also get connected with the shamanic world. So starting to teach or starting to learn and take teachings on the foundation through the Foundation for Shamanic Studies. And then my animal communication started to blossom from there, and my intuitive work, talking to people on the other side, blossomed from there. And then I became a life coach. And that's the work that I do. I'm also an artist and a musician and an author. And left the Midwest, moved to Northern California for a while, moved to Northern Arizona for a while. I'm back in the Midwest, back in my homeland, and I absolutely love it. So I do a lot of things, and mostly I be love.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great answer. And I'm curious where in the Midwest, if you don't mind sharing, because I'm from the Midwest too, and I've been in the South now for about 4 years, and the Midwest is very much calling my spirit back. So I'm curious
Yeah.
where you're at.
I live in the Madison, Wisconsin area,
Oh, okay.
and grew up in Verona, Wisconsin, and went to college at UW-Madison.
Oh,
And we're
amazing.
living about, I don't know, 100 yards from the border of Madison and Middleton. So we're technically in
Oh,
Middleton, Wisconsin, right next to Madison.
I just got full body chills. So my first soul dog, his name is Dante, which of course means the enduring and everlasting, and he has been my guide on this journey in so many ways, and foundationally taught me the connection with the spirit realm that enabled me to foster a full-blown communication system with my husband on the other side, because he showed me what was possible when he passed. I got him from Middleton, Wisconsin.
Wow.
Yeah, and a super
Wow.
rare breed, a Spinoni Italiano. So, talk about like the universe bringing us with people that we need to be brought with. So that's
That's
amazing.
wild.
Yeah, and the
Yep.
fact that I even asked you that question, like I could have just gone on.
Right. And that I even said Middleton because I normally would just say Madison because most people know Madison. But I'm like, I live in Middleton and I could, throw a softball and hit the Madison sign probably from here. But I'm
Oh,
literally in Middleton, Wisconsin, where you got your heart dog.
yes,
I
amazing.
love that.
Yes,
There's
yes.
some magic.
Yeah, exactly. Right out of the gate.
That's right. That's right.
Well, if you don't mind answering the proverbial question that we always ask our guests, what aligns you most to your soul self?
I love that question.
Thank
Um,
you.
I love it. And what I love questions that encourage me to really find the true answer. Um, so what aligns me most with my soul self? Nature, for sure. When I'm at freedom, I have a huge value around freedom and connection. Those are my top two values. From there, my next value is love, nature, and integrity.
I
What
love that.
aligns me the most when I'm out in nature, uh, with our dog Reggae off leash, it's incredible to just be with him walking on a trail, anything in nature. Yesterday it was sunshine aligned me the most, just being in sunshine. I love being warm. You'll wonder why I'm in the Midwest, but I bought warm clothes. Um, and I think remembering what aligns me the most is remembering who I really am. You know, when I said at the beginning that I came from the stars, like that's really true. And there's a whole story beyond that, around that.
Yeah.
But that's that place of remembering. Every day when I go outside or at night when I let our dog out, I look up and I've been looking up at the stars since I was born. So that's what aligns me the most, the sun, the stars, and the moon.
I love that. Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, nature for me is definitely core. Nature, movement, are core for me for sure. And I love looking at the stars. I love watching the sunset. I love a crisp, cool, clear night and being able to see into the sky because I feel like that is like a connection point to the larger universe.
Absolutely.
Well, I had the pleasure of spending some time, Autumn and I both, on your website and getting to know you a little bit more. And so I really want to dive into the work because you are doing some very unique things that I am really excited to have you share with our audience. Some of it really like particularly called to me with my background and, being an animal communicator, but just to start out with, can you share with our audience what called you to this sacred work to begin with?
Specifically, the animal communication work, do you mean, or all
All of
of the
it. I
work?
mean, I don't know about
Okay.
you, but I feel like it's almost like the pinpoint on a hurricane. It's like it
Oh
starts
yeah.
and it all kind of swirls around and it like all plays off of each other. I'm trained in multiple modalities as well, and I find they're always constantly working in conjunction with each other. So I'm just curious what was kind of the inflection point that started you on the journey?
Yeah, it's and there was a point, there was a moment, and it's the moment that happened was about a mile from where I'm living now, and this was 26 years ago. I was in a car accident about a mile from where I'm living now. It was May 6th, 2000, and I had left the house. I was married at the time to my first husband, and I had left the house to go to a liquor store to buy a six-pack of beer. And I don't drink anymore. And I that day I hadn't had any beer, but my husband was a drinker and I wasn't. So he drank my good beer. So I don't, if you've been in Wisconsin, you don't drink my good beer. Um, and then, again, this was 26 years ago. And we came home from being out for the day, and I was going to have a beer, like the one beer I had every 3 months, right? And it was gone. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the liquor store and I'll be right back. The liquor store is a mile from the house. He said, do you want me to go with you? And I said, no, I'll go myself. And so I left. I was 100% sober. I went to the liquor store. I put the six-pack of beer on the floor of the car. And I had this little red sports car at the time. And I had a medicine wheel hanging on the rear view mirror of my car. And that's an important piece because at that time I was also really exploring Native American traditions. And I remembered before I got in the car, I touched that medicine wheel. And I had a practice of touching the center of the wheel and asking myself, how are you doing physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Are you grounded? Are you in your center? And when I left in the car, I was super grounded. Beer goes on the floor of the car. I'm heading home, going through an intersection, and I see a police car come whipping through the intersection. And so I looked at my speedometer and I thought, okay, let's check my speed. And I was going 3 miles below the speed limit. And I was going 32 miles an hour. It was a crisp, clear May night. I could tell you what the stars and the moon looked like and how the air felt. And I saw this police car whiz through the intersection. I had a green light. I kept going through the intersection, and a car came flying through the intersection. And there wasn't anything I could do besides hit the car. I had the right of way. It was a young kid that was in a, like a 1970s Buick. And so my car absolutely smashed. I had
Yeah.
this, a new sports car, kind of a car. But I remember the moment of impact that I saw that now there's probably new technology, but at that time it was the Rolodex. It was like, there goes my life. Like I saw the life review, just this spin. I was 32 years old at the time. I saw this spinning like image of my life and then the impact. And I remember I was going only 32 miles an hour. The car was totaled. I was in the middle of the intersection in the vehicle. And then I felt myself outside of the vehicle. And I didn't have the spiritual practices that I have now. So I was like, whoa, did I just die? I was outside looking back into the car. I was, outside the roof of the car.
We want to express deep gratitude for everybody who sponsors the podcast. It really, really matters. It allows us to invest our time, effort, and energy in bringing you the most relevant spiritual content. So if you're feeling called, please subscribe, click like, leave a review, or sponsor the podcast. We very, very much appreciate you.
And I remember just touching my body, like, am I still here? And the airbags had gone off on both sides of the car. And I remember getting out of like touching my body, recognizing like, I'm okay, but is the car going to blow up? Like I've seen too many Indy 500 races. So I'm like, oh my God, is the car going to blow? So I got out just kind of stunned and dazed, and remember that cop had just gone through the intersection. So he drove right back. He said, I saw everything that happened. This was not your fault. Are you okay? And I just said, call my husband, call my husband. And he said, what's your phone number? I said, I have no idea. I mean, I was such in shock. And he asked me if I was all right. I said, I think I am, but couldn't find the phone number. Had no clue. I had no recollection of my phone number. But then a neighbor drove by and I just pointed. I was like, there's my neighbor. So the neighbor went. Anyway, that moment when I was out of my body, having a near-death experience, came back into my body, changed my life. I was in a relationship at the time with my first husband that was not a good fit. He was an alcoholic. I wasn't. And that ended up ending the relationship. It also started my path to the shamanic practices. I found my way a year later ended up getting divorced about a year later. And just after that, found my way to the shamanic practices by looking through a magazine one day and seeing an ad that said the hollow bone, power animal retrieval, soul retrieval, heal past trauma. Call Anna. I was like, good, I'm going to call Anna. I want to do that, whatever that is. And so I called her, ended up going to her house and meeting her for a session, and had a fantastic first healing session with her. And she looked at me and she said, I don't know if you're here to heal or if you're here to learn. Anyway, the car accident, May 6, 2000, literally pushed me into this place of, wow, there's something bigger out there for me. I left what wasn't serving me, remained still friends with my then first husband until his passing in 2013. And that was my beginnings, was the car accident, the shamanic practices, and then I got a puppy. So the puppy was the second. And Java was my heart dog that I got in Dodgeville, Wisconsin. And she came into my life right after the divorce, right at the same time of the learning about the shamanic practices. And I began to ask myself, I was teaching art at the time, do I really want to teach art the rest of my life? And I ended up finding my way then to the animal work. So that's enough blah blah for right now. There's probably another question that's coming up for you, but that was my turning point, a car accident and a puppy.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I love that. And I'm sure your puppy was your teacher, your healer, and so many other things. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that vulnerable story. That was a really beautiful story.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think we all have some kind of a moment
Yes.
that just like, oh wow, here's my wake up call.
Yeah. Your
And
catalyst.
yeah, it was a wake up call.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, how do you connect? Because I know for me, like, so I work in somatics, I do Reiki, but it's angel Reiki. That's kind of my road in, if you will, the easiest pathway for me to connect with spirit. How do you connect your shamanic practice with the other work you do? Do you find it woven into every other offering that you have, or is it separate? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you for asking. I mean, I know I used to separate things out, and then I had clients asking me for, during life coaching, can you do a healing session? Or, something would come up where it was cross-pollinating.
Hmm.
And shamanism is actually he or she who see, the word shaman is he or she who sees with the heart. So it's how I live my life. It's what I eat, what I put in my body. I mean, I stopped drinking alcohol probably, I don't know, 20 years ago. I really look at what I put in my body. What time do I go to bed? How do I rest? How do I live my life? And so, yes, it weaves through everything because it's who I am. And it's yesterday walking our dog Reggae, and then all of a sudden seeing a red-tailed hawk up flying directly above my head, which is the symbol of my dog Java, who passed away, my
And
heart dog
see,
that brought me to this work.
that is a sign from my husband on the other side too. So thank you.
Yeah, maybe he was saying hello too,
Yes.
So it's paying attention. I mean, and that weaves through in, I'm not going to say everything I do because I'm still human. I still forget. I still have areas of my life that I'm working on for sure. And it's how I aspire and intend to live my time is to see with my heart.
Yes. Yes, I talk a lot about duality, and we can be both at once. We can be in grief and joy at the same time. We can be our human limited selves and also have the intention of seeing everything that's meant for us in the universe at the same time as well.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's just paying attention. So I stay
Mhm.
plugged in by paying attention. I don't just pay attention when I'm on the clock.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
exactly.
I'm on the clock when I was born. When I
Yeah,
was conceived, I was on the clock, or maybe
yeah.
before that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that always connects us back to the truth too, which helps us with our client sessions and helping our clients to stay connected. I know when I meet with clients, it's really all about helping them. We all have this available to us. It's not like we have some, special ability or, we
Right.
had some special pill. Like this is available to all of us. And so I think as healers, it's part of our soul's calling to teach other people to be able to do this work for themselves because ultimately that's how we help rise the collective.
Absolutely. I mean, it's simple to teach, but it's much more difficult to learn. It's quiet this and open this. And
Yes.
it's a lifelong process to learn
Yes.
how to quiet the mind and open the heart.
Yes. Yes, and forgetting so much of what we get indoctrinated with every day if we're not intentional about what we consume. Autumn and I talk a lot about the intentionality of what we consume from, media to social media to, our physical bodies. And we're completely on the same page as what you just mentioned with like just making sure that because it can really impact you and set you down a path of overwhelm. And if you want to be in a receiver state and have clarity, you need to be really intentional about what you consume and what you don't consume.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it comes down to self-care.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, my nighttime ritual is like sacred. I don't care what's going on, even if like for traveling, I get in at 3 a.m., I'm still going to be meditating before I go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk? So I'm a huge animal person, have been my entire life. And I've always felt super connected with animals and have had so many amazing, amazing experiences, including with hawks. I've had hawks come like within inches of me since my husband's passing, which has been such a beautiful experience that I am so grateful for. Um, can you talk to me a little bit about your animal hospice work? I found this very interesting because it's something that's relatively unique, and I feel like there's people that are doing, obviously like myself, like doing animal communication, which you do as well here in the physical and doing healings, but the hospice piece I think is a relatively unique lens, and I love it, and I kind of ended up doing I don't know what your work is like, but I ended up doing Reiki to help one of my dogs transition because I had incorporated that into his healing journey. And so it just was very natural and helped open a pathway for connection with him once he did pass. So I'm very curious as to the lens of how you do the hospice work, if you don't mind sharing with our audience.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It's something, I'm one of those people that's passionate about living and passionate about dying and everything in between. And I took classes in animal hospice probably a few years before my dog Java was ready to exit her body. But it was um, her aging and end of life that really pushed me into deepening my relationship with aging and end of life. And I learned so much by being by her side. She passed when she was 12 and a half years old, and she passed a natural death at home in my arms at 4 in the morning. It was an incredible experience, and getting to that place of helping her move through the aging into this end of life and the last breath with grace and ease, like we do with people. We try to support people through their aging by supporting the aging and then supporting the illness and then supporting the death process. So I learned a lot with Java. I had been clinically trained and then learned a lot with Java. And I have worked with clients through animal communication and then also the T-Touch work for the past 25 years. And so I have a lot of clients that will call, and I work with them through the same. I teach classes in aging and end of life for animals and people. So I've been trained also as a death doula for people. And it's really supporting the process.
Yeah.
So in essence, for both people and animals, it's a lot about pain and anxiety. If we can address the pain and the anxiety, that's the biggest part, because it's going to happen to all of us, and it's going to happen to all of our animals, and it's all about letting go. And so a lot of on the job training and working. I've worked alongside with veterinarians that supported me in making really good decisions along the way, like what supplements do I need to help with? Do we need to get in for more blood work? How do we support? There's little tremors going on. How do we support the liver at this point? What do we use for pain management that's not going to impact the liver? What do we do when an animal starts to become incontinent or they start to begin to lose mobility? And it's an ongoing process. I've got a senior dog now. Our dog Reggae is going to be 11 in March. And, we're at that point where he's aging, and we have the conversations about aging and end of life with the people and the animals.
That's wonderful. And I know I am very thankful. My vet is very open. They've witnessed through my work the impact that doing Reiki and calling in the angelic realm has had. And so having them be part of the conversation is so great. And I know not everybody has that experience. So I'm very, very thankful for it. But I appreciate everything you just said, because my dog Valor, who crossed almost 3 years ago now, is the one who really took me fully into the animal communication, because he and I had so many experiences. His time here, the last almost 2 years of his life, very much mirrored actually my husband's crossing and the caregiving and the needs that they both had both actually suffering from a neurological disease, but he immediately after crossing Valor came into me, and I feel firmly that I helped open that pathway and shortened the amount of time for us to be in communication through the angelic Reiki that I used to help transition him. So I think that's another really powerful aspect of the work that you're doing is not only does it ease the transition, but I feel like it opens the lines of communication faster, easier for those listening who are seeking to have communication with their animal companions once they do cross over.
Absolutely. And there's, like you said, with the angelic, working in the angelic realms and doing the Reiki, and there's so many different tools to support the transitions. And of course, I use the shamanic practices during those times, as well as veterinary medicine, as well as supplements and a variety of different tools, sound healing and animal communication. I really believe in bringing in as many tools as we can. And again, it comes back to pain and anxiety.
Yeah.
Can we reduce or get rid of the pain and the anxiety? And the anxiety comes from the not knowing. So
Yeah.
can we help them understand what's happening? And animals know how to die. They're so much better at it than we are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oftentimes
they
I
are
feel
our
like it's
greatest
our
teachers.
fears that help keep that hold them back.
Right.
Too. So it's managing through that process with both, like you said, the human and the animal. So
Yep.
let's end on a fun question. I absolutely loved your ceremonial chocolates on your website. Talk about that. I'm so intrigued. I am such a huge chocolate person anyways, so I'm like loving the fact that you use this in such a sacred way. So can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
I can, thank you. And I've enjoyed all of the fun questions. I really have enjoyed how you flow and the questions you ask. It's fun. This has been great. And who doesn't love chocolate? So I started when we lived in California. I saw a flyer on the wall, cacao ceremony in the redwoods. I'm like, who doesn't want to go drink chocolate in the redwoods? So I went. I drank chocolate in the redwoods and fell in love with the plant. I absolutely fell in love with the cacao plant. And I started working with cacao as plant spirit medicine and plant medicine. So talking to the plant, learning about the plant, asking permission, can I work with you as a teacher, as a guide? And then I began in time, in my circles, I began running cacao ceremonies. A couple of years ago, I got invited to upstate New York to go to a friend's birthday party. She was turning 60. And she said, let's go walk a labyrinth. And I said, sure. So I'm standing outside of the labyrinth. It's pouring rain. I am not a rain person. I was kind of whining a little bit. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go. So I've got my umbrella and I've got my rain jacket, and I centered myself. I got rid of my whininess around the rain. And I asked the question, what's next? And I walked the labyrinth. I got to the center of the labyrinth, and there was a 100% download that said, you're going to start your own line of ceremonial cacao based on the Native American medicine wheel. And I stood there and I was like, okay, I already have a business. My brain started, what does this mean? What is this going to look like? And so I started to play with these ideas of, okay, the wheel, fire, earth, air, water. Fire could be cayenne. The earth could be like a cinnamon chocolate. The air could be a rose, and the water could have sea salt in it. And then I worked with a client of mine who is Native American, and she's indigenous. And I started talking with her about cultural appropriation with using the medicine wheel with my chocolate company. And she said, find something that works with your culture. And I had already had the LLC, Tie-Dye Dragonfly, which is our chocolate company. So I literally walked around the corner to my husband once I got home, and he knew about the labyrinth and what had come up. And I said, what do you think about using Tie-Dye Dragonfly for our chocolate? Our medicine wheel is peace, love, and joy. Like, that's our medicine. We have more tie-dye in our closets than anybody I've met. And so that's what we ended up doing. And I love how that came about from this, what's next, to I'm going to have this chocolate company. And one thing led to the next. I ran into people that knew how to make chocolate, knew how to consult us, how to make chocolate. We're buying the beans where we find a chocolate maker in Minnesota who's been making chocolate for 20 years, and he owns a cacao farm in Ecuador. And I'm like one of those people, I end up in a place and all of a sudden the magic happens. And I love that. And I'm always astounded. It happened yesterday. Like it's,
It goes back to the very beginning, the leading with your heart and
it
just being
does.
open.
And so the chocolate company, we have these three, we have the love line, the peace line, and the joy line. And we sell 100% ceremonial cacao. So it's 100%, nothing's added. It's pure from the tree, bean to bar for drinking or eating. And then we also have 80% love, joy, and peace that has a little bit of maple sugar in it. And our love line has Bulgarian rose oil. Our joy line is completely plain, and our peace line has a little bit of wild blueberry and lion's mane.
Ooh.
And it's really good chocolate. So it's, it's like the add-on, it's like the child late in life or whatever. This chocolate company just came out of nowhere, and it's fun. So
I love that story, how you listened and you trusted, and then you were able to birth something. And it's amazing when something's meant for us, how all the pieces, all the players, all the people come right into play. And it's like, boom, boom, boom. I'm
right.
going through that experience with something that I'm birthing right now. And it's just absolutely amazing. All the resources are available to you. So I think it's just a great reminder. If you're hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, maybe it's not in divine timing. Maybe you need to take a pause on something.
Yeah.
But what a great story. That was,
Yeah, the magic carpet should be easy.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not that you don't have to do the work. You have to do the work,
Right.
but the puzzle pieces will arrive as they're needed.
Absolutely. It's letting go of the stuff that's not working.
Yes, exactly. To make space for what's meant for you.
Right.
Yeah. Sage, thank you for this amazing conversation. Can you share? We'll obviously drop all your links in the show notes, but can you share the best ways for people to find you? I don't know if there's particular social sites that you're active or your website. What's the best way to find you?
Yeah, so my website, dancingporcupine.com, that's going to be the easiest because you can find my YouTube channel, you can find my podcast, you can find chocolate, you can find me. So dancingporcupine.com.
And I'll just repeat, you can find chocolate.
Yeah, you can.
Thank you so much, Sage. We so enjoyed having you on.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Lindsay.
If you loved today's episode, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. Follow our podcast. We release a new episode each and every week, and join us on Facebook inside the Soul Revival community. Come be a part of the magic. We'll see you there.